Hello and welcome to IBTimes TV. I'm Leanna Brinder, Business Editor for the International Business Times. Joining me now is Heyrick Bond Gunning. He's the MD of Salamanca Group. So hi, thanks for joining us.
Hi, good to see you.
Okay, so when it comes to businesses looking to expand abroad, everyone's looking at China and India, let's say, in the emerging markets. But one of the biggest growth areas is actually in the more challenging regions. Can you tell me about maybe some key areas that have caught Salamanca's eye in terms of expansion?
Yeah, I think there are two sides to it. So we've been advising clients in places like Egypt, which has obviously had huge challenges. And that sort of advice will range from everything from looking at the political challenges through to the cultural differences of operating in that environment, right the way through to the environment itself. And by that I mean, how are you going to adopt a Middle Eastern culture, or even if we're looking at West Africa or West African culture, where their view of doing business is very different, particularly if you're thinking about things like the Bribery Act, to the way in which people do business in the Western world. And part of the challenge for organisations is to understand the cultural difference. And whilst it's something that's usually on people's list of things to get their heads around, it's probably at the bottom. But actually our view is that if you've got very strong partners, and if you understand the way in which the business environment operates in those countries, you're a long way down the line to making it a success. You need to tie in and overlay the political context, and you'll see, particularly if we look at Ghana as an example, pre-election there was very little activity at all, and that's because those that knew realised there's no point in launching a big infrastructure project or setting up a new business when there's a bit of uncertainty around who is going to be elected. And those are the sort of, there'll be a bit of paralysis around pre and post election whilst things settle down. We've seen the same in Libya. Since the new government's come into power, it's taken a while before businesses have moved in, and now we're seeing some infrastructure projects begin to get underway, which we're helping on the advice side as well as the risk management side.
Okay, I mean, one of the areas that I suppose catches my eye is obviously Iraq. I mean, it's grown as a major player in the oil markets. Yeah. It has opportunity for, I suppose, lots of other projects. What have been your dealings or understanding in how to do business there in a place that is still, in a way, going through a lot of reconstruction?
Yeah, I mean, they're going through a lot of turmoil still. I first went out there in 2003, just as George Bush was announcing that the mission was accomplished. There's a debate about that. And actually what we've seen fundamentally is the Iraqis are well educated, they work hard, and so there's a lot of goodwill there. There's been very well documented difficulties around doing business over there from a pure security threat. But I think what we're also seeing, and we've seen it certainly up in the north where they've got a lot more control over the actual environment, we've seen some huge strides forward. Particularly in the oil and gas sector. And I think we're beginning to see that down in the south as well. So the trickle-down effect to the rest of the country will bear fruit.
Sure. I mean, there are some evolving, I suppose, legislation when it comes to oil laws there, and businesses getting, in a way, that not only their assets but their money out of the country. I mean, do you see issues like that actually stopping a lot of people eventually expanding into countries like Iraq because of that fear of the unknown?
Well, I think there will always be those that are more entrepreneurial and view a bit of turbulence as an opportunity. And we see a lot of those people coming to us to ask to co-invest with them or for advice around how to operate in particular environments. Last week we had someone who was setting up a free zone in Iraq who came in, and their project has gone underway, and it's really developing quite nicely. And they are getting clients who are coming into the oil and gas sector in southern Iraq. And so I think that there'll be two camps, and it will be an opportunity for perhaps some of the smaller oil and gas companies and the smaller oil services providers, while some of the larger ones may find it a bit more of a challenge.
Okay. Well, another area of major growth has actually been in Africa, and Ghana in particular is an area that you guys are looking at. So we've talked about it a little bit now, but can you tell me some key areas within that you see a lot of clients looking to expand into?
Yeah, I think we're seeing the oil and gas sector as a classic, and we've been looking after oil and gas exploration companies out there. But interestingly, we're also seeing deals coming to us around the telecom sector, where there are new licenses that have come out, and actually they've been issued to a variety of people who want to build them out and want to partner with an international telco. And that is in itself an interesting prospect, because the telecoms companies need to understand and have some clarity around who it is owns the license, how they've got it, which is an important element of it, which perhaps the indigenous owner of the license might not view as so important, but will be important for a large telecoms company to have some clarity around before they then invest and build out the market. And telco, for example, in Ghana is interesting in that I think there are a 28 million population, and there are way more than 28 million handsets. So you've got a huge industry there.
Okay, well the telecom sector is booming in places like Ghana and Nigeria, and that's rather exciting. And I suppose going full circle in terms of what Salamanca does and advises on cybercrime, do you see tying in those expertise of not only helping, I suppose, businesses overcome the infrastructure challenges for places like Ghana, but also having to mitigate evolving risks when it comes to technology there as well?
Yeah, I think there are the infrastructure risks that the telecoms companies face throughout West Africa, anywhere in an emerging market, and the classic sort of leakage of profit that occurs throughout the supply chain. But then, of course, to answer the question around the cyber side, what we're really seeing is the telecoms companies are understanding that they can white label the types of services that we offer and sell that on to their clients, because whilst their core business is about getting people to subscribe to their core services and their data services, what they're beginning to realize is that the growth area is going to be around the protection of cyber protection for their corporate clients in particular. And so what we've seen is telco clients coming to us and saying, look, we'd like you to do the cyber piece for us, but also we'd like to be able to white label those services to sell on to our clients.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for joining us today.
Right.
And that was Heyrick Bond Gunning. He's the MD of Salamanca Group.